Hi everyone. This video is a little bit longer than my normal ones, so please watch till the end and please share it. The Parnell Square attack in November 2023 remains one of the most shocking crimes in modern Irish history. 3 young children and their teacher were stabbed outside their school, leaving one of the little girls with devastating lifelong injuries. In this video, I want to discuss how the incident was reported, how the public were expected to respond, and whether the Irish media and government gave the Irish people the full picture from the very beginning. Back in November 2023, an Algerian man, Riyad Bouchikar, who had been refused disability benefit by the Department of Social Protection, left his passport and backpack at a mosque in Talbot Street before carrying out the attack outside the school in Parnell Square. In the immediate aftermath, information released to the public was limited. Many media reports provided very little details about the attacker, and the Journal reported that a senior government source said the incident was not believed to be terror-related. That conclusion was presented very early before the full facts had emerged. Many people questioned how such certainty could be expressed so quickly, particularly given that the attacker had left his belongings at a mosque before carrying out the attack. Whether or not those facts ultimately pointed to terrorism was a matter for the courts and investigators, but many people felt legitimate questions were dismissed too quickly. That evening, thousands of people took to the streets. While violence and criminal damage should always be condemned, many ordinary people who had genuine concerns about immigration, public safety and government policy felt they were immediately labelled as far-right or anti-immigration by sections of the media and political establishment. Instead of trying to understand why so many people were angry, much of the national conversations quickly shifted towards condemning the protests themselves rather than examining the circumstances surrounding the attack or asking whether government policy had failed. For many people, this marked another example of what we see is an increasingly one-sided relationship between the Irish government and sections of the mainstream media, where difficult questions are avoided while those raising concerns are quickly dismissed or labelled. What happened afterwards only strengthened those concerns. Approximately a year after the attack, the Examiner published a headline stating that the little girl had made great progress. Similar reports appeared across other media outlets. Of course, everyone wanted to hear positive news about her recovery, but many people felt these reports painted an overly optimistic picture that failed to communicate the devastating reality of her condition. In March of 2025, further reports celebrated another supposed milestone, saying she had reached a new level of communication and that she had stood up for the first time. However, reading beyond the headline revealed she had been supported by 2 physiotherapists, one on each side. She had not stood independently but required full assistance. Again, questions have to be asked whether the headlines reflected the full reality or whether they presented an unnecessarily positive interpretation of an unimaginably tragic situation. Then, during the Central Criminal Court trial 3 years after the attack, the full extent of her injuries became publicly known. Jurors heard that she will never live independently, she cannot swallow safely, she suffered a serious brain injury, she now has a severe neurological disorder, she uses a wheelchair, she is non-verbal and communicates only by blinking yes or no, she is fed through a peg tube directly into her stomach, she is prone to repeated chest infections. Now almost 8 years old, she takes 9 regular medications. This wasn't simply a child who had made great progress. This was a little girl whose entire life had been permanently changed. The court found Riyad Bouchikar guilty of the attempted murder of the 3 children. During fitness to plead hearings, RTE reported that Bouchikar entered the courtroom shouting abuse, including "kill yourself, Irish shit." He also referred to himself as Islam while complaining about his treatment in Ireland. Those remarks were reported during the court proceedings and form part of the public record. The trial also established that he had lived in Ireland for approximately 20 years and required an interpreter throughout the proceedings. For many of us, these facts raise difficult questions about integration, immigration policy, and how successive governments have managed both. Yet much of the national conversation continued to focus on condemning those who questioned immigration policy rather than examining whether existing policies were working. This is where I believe the media has failed. The role of journalism is not to protect governments from criticism or to shape public opinion. It's to present the facts fully, fairly and honestly, allowing the public to reach their own conclusions. Many people believe that when crimes involving foreign nationals, important contextual information is often reported more cautiously than it would if the offender were Irish. Whether or not the perception is accurate, it has become widespread and contributes to declining trust in mainstream media. Likewise, repeatedly using labels such as far-right to describe people expressing concerns about immigration risks shutting down legitimate democratic debate instead of engaging with it. In my opinion, this case highlights just how out of touch the mainstream media are with the people on the ground. They have lost a serious amount of trust in recent years, and as a result, many people are now turning to social media outlets for much of their news and information. That is why the government want to be able to control this information, because they don't like the work that we are doing. Thank you and have a great weekend.